Nakipagtulungan na ang Energy Department at ang Energy Regulatory Commission sa lahat ng stakeholders sa Panay Island, pati na sa National Grid Corporation of the Philippines para agad maibalik ang kuryente sa isla. Makakausap natin ngayon si Energy Secretary Raphael Lotilla. Secretary Lotilla, magandang gabi po sa inyo. Thank you very much for joining us now. Can you tell us first, Secretary, what kind of a scenario is this? Napakamalas naman lahat ng planta na nagsusupply sa buong Western Visayas, pumalya. How did that happen, sir?
Well, Pia, magandang gabi sa inyo and to all of your viewers. I really feel for the people of Panay because I myself am from Panay. I am from Antique and a number of my officials are also from that island. And we cannot understand why less than a year from the time that the April 2023 island blackout took place, we again have to go through this experience that is causing havoc to the livelihood and the lives of people, because power is needed for hospitals and other emergency establishments as well. So the problem, I think, that has been identified, and the ERC chair has already mentioned this, is that there was a window of opportunity for the systems operator, which is the National Grid Corporation of the Philippines, to do something and intervene so that the system on the island does not collapse. In other words, it could have gotten in touch with all of the distribution utilities and electric cooperatives to cut down the load that they were consuming, in which, because the power supply was down, because one of the plants had an unexpected or an unscheduled outage. But that did not happen for 2 hours. So a missed opportunity. And we were hoping that the lessons learned in April of 2023 would have served us in good stead in this particular case. But that's why everyone is appealing first for transparency from the National Grid Corporation of the Philippines, because it can't just keep on saying that it is not responsible for what has happened. The plants, it is true, one of the plants, the generation plants went down, but this happens every now and then. But the NGCP, as systems operator, has a responsibility to make sure that the grid stability is maintained despite such hiccups. But this does not happen in this particular case. So when all 6 generation plants, the major plants, went down, we had an entire blackout in Panay. And to be able to start the generation plants again, you'll have to wait for some time because, one, the ramp up is slow. It is not easy to put all of them on again after a massive blackout. And then second, of course, is that in the course of the tripping, a number of plants do suffer damage because of the imbalances in the grid. And these are the things that, as the President stressed way back in April 2023, we've got to address. And these are worth reiterating for this particular incident because, one, it requires transparency from all of us. We need to find out what is the real cause, because unless we recognize what the cause is, then we will not be able to address the problems of this and the problems causing this, and they will continue to occur again and again as the local government officials in Panay have complained. So what are those things that need to be done? One, for example, is that there is should be a proactiveness on the part of the systems operator, NGCP, not to wait for the system to collapse. So we need to find out why nothing was done in the 2-hour period that the independent market operator has clearly established as an opportunity to be able to intervene. Then second, the lines, as you know, the lines in the transmission lines are weak in that particular area. The Panay Negros Cebu transmission line, which is supposed to have been finished way back in December 2020, has been delayed, and its date of completion has been moved 7 times already. So we expect that this time, as the NGCP has promised, it will be available completely for operation by March 2024. And that should really be delivered, because if it had been already operational, this particular incident, as well as the one in April 2023, would have been avoided. Third, of course, I want to emphasize that we need more generation capacity on the island of Panay itself. You know, if we talk about Panay, it is at the end of the line. The source of the power comes from Leyte, goes to Cebu, from Cebu goes to Negros, then from Negros it goes to Panay. And that's why, relative to the other islands in the Visayas, the Panay is at a disadvantage because of the weak nature. And that's why the system operator has to be extra sensitive about maintaining the stability of the grid. It cannot just act as if these were in the same condition as Cebu or as Luzon and Mindanao. If one plant goes down, then everyone should be on board in order to make sure that the whole system does not collapse.
Wow, Secretary Lotilla, you really said a mouthful there, pero syempre naintindihan po natin yan na the exasperation was very obvious in your tone and in everything you said, and we take note really of ng lahat po ng sinabi po ninyo. And like you said, no, I mean, apart from that, of course, your exasperation over the 2-hour window of opportunity that was, like you said, no, wasted by NGCP. Like you said, tiga-antique po kayo. As a disclaimer, I am from Capiz and Aklan, so the exasperation is the same. But also, you said, because kahapon na-interview po namin ang NGCP, and the tone of the interview was very clear. No? They laid the blame squarely on the power plants. Para bang walang sinasabi kung bakit hindi sila nakagalaw within the 2-hour window of opportunity, like you said. Can you hazard a guess, sir? Bakit po ganun ang nangyari? Why didn't they do something if you say that they could have done something?
Well, one, if I interpreted correctly, the representative of NGCP in this morning's meeting with the officials of Iloilo City, they were looking for some automatic mechanism. But I said this is a case where human intervention should always be present. We cannot rely on automation in order to trigger a response in this particular case.
You're saying, Secretary, that they could have...
I mentioned that we need more power sources as well on the island of Panay. As you know, Panay does not have the benefit of, let us say, big dams.
Right.
There are smaller dams. These are not on the same scale as in other islands. And that's why I also appeal for prospective sites of new plants to also support the plants. So, for example, in Aklan right now, we have a wind farm that is facing some problems. And I appeal to our local government units and communities to support, because we need this power. And the nearer they are, for example, to the users, then they are more useful to everyone.
At para hindi
And
naman
that's-
at para like you said, hindi naman last in line ang Panay, para bang sana makatikim din ang Panay Island ng priority. Priority din ng Panay.
Yes, of course, for the power plants on the island, then at least the electric cooperatives and the distribution utilities on the island would have a chance to avail of the supply from these plants. So I think we need to be forward looking.
Right.
What we don't want to happen is for this to recur, because the price is too great. And it should not occur not only in Panay, but in all other parts of the country. And in this particular case, the Panay Negros Cebu line is not the only line that is delayed. So the Mindanao Visayas interconnection, and the entire government is trying to help NGCP in moving this forward. And that's why NGCP should not be shy in taking responsibility for the weaknesses of the system. Because once we identify the problems and the weaknesses, then we will be able to address them. But if from the start we say there is no problem, then how are we going to be able to address them? And that's what we have been doing from day one. We have tried to make sure that government is there. My two undersecretaries, Undersecretary Guevara and Undersecretary Garin, have been working day and night trying to help facilitate the solutions or resolving the problems relative to these transmission lines. And we must also remember that the NGCP is the one that issues the system impact studies. Without the system impact studies, no new generation plants can come into the country or can be constructed. And therefore, it is important that they are able to do the system impact studies in as short a time as possible. And right now, if you have delays from 1.5 years to 2 years just for the system impact study, then how can we bring in the needed new additional plants? Now, a new policy that we have adopted, of course, is that the reserve market for the reserves that we need in case there is a shortage of power is already on pilot implementation and will be in full operation later this month. So the reserves market will give incentives to those who will put up plants that will be then made available whenever there is an emergency. Now, we are moving towards the El Nino months.
Right.
And during the El Nino months, the temperatures not only rise, which affect our people, but they also affect power plants. And that's why it is important that we have both the lines and the generation plants well run. So all of us have a responsibility. And I'm not saying it's only NGCP that has that responsibility. The generators also have that responsibility, and the distribution utilities or electric cooperatives as well. We can only be as strong as the weakest link in this chain. And therefore, we need everyone on board.
All right. Energy Secretary Raphael Lotilla, sir, thank you very much for joining us this evening. Salamat po, sir.